It's been only 2 match days, but some trends are making themselves readily apparent. Everton and Southampton, buckle in, boys. It's going to be a long season. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Brighton. Yeah, Brighton. Not so much. Pretty good. Hear more today on Coffee with a Kick. Hello and welcome back to Coffee with a Kick. I'm Xander, that's Keegan, and we are here at the end of Match Day 2. And what do you know? Manchester City's on the top of the table. La 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 la. Everybody saw it coming, didn't they? Didn't they?
I certainly did. I will give the opposition credit. They slowed down City, as we'll talk about, after a 3-goal flurry. But yeah. I think Brighton's up first, the other Manchester team.
Yes, first up is specifically Brighton Hove Albion and Manchester United. The first one here, which I think you got this one correct. Almost perfect. You said it would be 3-1. I was going with the 2-2 draw. Not quite there. Because Brighton in the end pulls through and does take down Manchester United 2-1 in a very respectable match for both sides. I felt like Brighton got off with the first goal there in the 32nd minute, but the first 30 minutes were pretty much all Manchester United. And respectable. I say that I want to buy it back a little bit because I think Manchester United is going to go back and look at this at the end of the season and feel like they had a whole bunch of chances in that first half hour where they really were dominating at least the attacks on goal, and they did not convert on a good number of pretty good opportunities. Then Brighton capitalized on basically their first real shot at goal. They had a corner in the 32nd that Danny Welbeck was able to put in off of a Matoma. Was that a corner kick? No. Off their first main chance. I think it was a corner kick, if memory serves. But yeah, Matoma got another assist. He remains very important for them. The Manchester United goal then came back in the second half, the 60th minute, with a deflection. So it was a little bit lucky on them at the end that they had so many good opportunities, and then it was kind of lucky that they ended up getting their own goal. And then in the... wait, hold on. The goal you got was deflected. The goal they didn't get in the 7th that they did. What does that note even mean? Regardless, 90 plus 5 minute total lapse by the Manchester United defense there on covering the backside of play. And João Pedro puts in the winner, 90 plus 5, to break the Devils' hearts.
Yeah, Man U fans are not going to like this statement. But I felt like overall in the totality of the 90-minute match, it was pretty even.
It was, yeah.
Man U... very much so the dominating force in the first half hour. But then after that, it was incredibly even, if not Brighton being the better team at times. And not really what you were hoping for as a Man U fan. When you keep Ten Hag, you're hoping to make those sorts of strides in year 3. But this kind of looked like Man U of last year. Kind of sitting back, missing opportunities, letting the game kind of slow down. And a team like Brighton is going to pounce on the opportunity to beat you, especially at home. And I feel like there at the end, it was all about the home crowd just spurring them on. And once João Pedro scored, it was done and dusted. I mean, there's only a minute and a half left in the match anyways. But credit to Brighton for getting a big win early, because I think this could serve them very well moving forward.
Yeah, as much as this was what we would have considered like a true test of Brighton, this upcoming weekend will certainly be that. They've got a very tough opponent coming up, but we'll get to that in the next episode. Now we'll move on to Crystal Palace and West Ham United, a pick that I got right because I did pick West Ham. But I will give Crystal Palace their due. I think they're going to catch a good team this year and really spring it on them if they can keep their core together. Because they were moving very well. As much as Manchester United was missing out on opportunities, Crystal Palace was the same way for a lot of of the first half. I mean, the first half entirely was missed opportunities, was basically the headline for that first half for both of those teams, Crystal Palace and West Ham, respectively. But leading up to the West Ham United goal, second half it was much more West Ham heavy, and it wasn't a pretty goal that Susek had. It was kind of a pinball sort of spur of the moment type thing there in the box in the 67th minute. But it puts him up, and then Jared Bowen, that one was much more clean. A very nice getting caught out by a quick counter, Crystal Palace was. And Jared Bowen put it away very nicely off of the Maximilian Kilman assist.
There's your boy, Kilman.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been nice. Well, we'll get to Wolves in a minute.
Yeah, this match was lost in a 5-minute span.
Yeah.
I felt like it was pretty even. Crystal Palace controlled a lot of possession for most of the match. It seemed like both teams had a lot of chances, but putting the shot actually on target, challenging the keeper, was the hard part for these teams. But you're right. I think Crystal Palace is that one goal away from really sparking this team. And they look good. They just haven't found that decisive goal to really kickstart the season. But West Ham, they're playing well. They were hard done by last week, so they recovered well this week. Again, I still think they're not going to have a great season because David Moyes isn't there. But they're getting 3 points away from home, and that's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, you have 18 shots on goal. 18 shots, only 3 on goal. Only 2 for Crystal Palace. Yeah, they're going to score early against one of the big squads, and then they are able to strike so quickly that they could probably end up winning 2 or 3 to 1 against a big team and really shock them and put them put them on the left foot there. But we'll have to leave that as speculation for later on, because right now we're going to move over to Fulham and Leicester City. Oh, what a fun one this was, I guess. I don't really think that it was that much fun, but I did get this one right. Fulham did win. It was not a 2-2 draw, as you had expected. But really, Fulham was pretty much in control of this match for most of it. Leicester, once they got their goal, they capitalized on a corner that they got. It was one of the few chances they really even had. And it felt like they were maybe going to be able to kind of pack it in and maybe wait it out, the full thing, after the 38th minute goal from Buonanotte, the guy I called out as being important for them. But Alex Iwobi, assisted by Jedi Robinson in the 70th minute, scored on a very nice counterattack for Fulham there in the 70th minute. And this one... this does not bode well for Leicester City. Fulham is not that great of a team, and they are and Leicester has shown themselves to be very susceptible to counterattacks. Their defense does not look that organized. It's not quite as bad as oh my goodness, I already forgot their name from last year. Who was the terrible team?
Sheffield
United. Not as bad as Sheffield United's defense, but there are some of these mid-table teams that thrive off of the counterattack that I think are just going to pound Leicester into the dust. And that's those type of teams that you're trying to shred points away from to keep yourself up. Doesn't bode well, in my opinion, for Leicester going forward.
Yeah, I felt like Leicester came into this match rather timid. First Premier League away game this season. They're playing Fulham, who maybe they had a little bit lower on their totem pole as opposed to Tottenham. But I felt like fireworks were going, even though it was 1-1 draw. It was Leicester were on it versus Tottenham. But Fulham, they just didn't seem like they had that gear that they had versus Tottenham. And that's going to be important for them to kind of keep that steady energy throughout the season. But you're right. There's definitely some defensive lapses they're going to have to fix and tweak, because when they play teams like Brentford, Crystal Palace, West Ham, they will begin to lose by 3 goals, if not more, if they don't fix that central defensive mid, center back kind of area that they lacked in this one.
Yeah, It looks like it may be a long season for Leicester. That's what I'm starting to smell here. Then we'll move to our reigning champions, Manchester City, host Ipswich Town. And you know what? For about 7 minutes, this was a very shocking match. Ipswich Town got their goal in the 7th minute because Rico Lewis.
Target.
Oh, what?
I said it was their only shot and only shot on target.
Only shot on target, and basically because Rico Lewis fell asleep in the midfield and just let a guy run right in front of his face, didn't even try to track him. Not a great look for him. But after that, Manchester they earn a penalty there on the right hand side of the box. Was it a little bit light? Yes, but it was a penalty. It was a foul, and it was just inside the box. So Holland bashes that in pretty easily. Kevin De Bruyne follows up with it was a silly goal for that one.
Just a really bad goalie mistake trying to dribble away from Savinho. Just obviously gets his pocket picked pass in.
Yeah, Muric had some bad moments here in this one, and he may be the player to watch for Ipswich and all the wrong reasons. Then it kind of goes quiet after Erling Haaland's second goal, which what was that one? Yeah, that one. It was sneaky good. Erling Haaland's second goal was my note for it, because it was, first of all, he headed it to himself onto the left hand side, and then it was a little bit different of a style from Erling. I don't know if this is going to foreshadow like a little bit of maturity of him as a striker, but instead of going for pure power, which a lot of people try to do, he put the shot in that he needed to get for it to go in. A little looper, a little blooper right over the defender. And, get it on frame is the most important thing. And when the goalkeeper's already way out of play, it doesn't matter how fast it goes over the line if it gets over.
Yeah, I mean, amazing pass from Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Great finish from an awkward angle. After this one, I mean, it could have been 4-5-1 by half, but City just missed a couple of chances.
Yeah.
But, I mean, kudos to not Ipswich. Kudos to Ipswich. Kudos to them for actually figuring it out of like, hey, we should probably calm down and regroup because we just let in 3 goals in a matter of like 6 minutes. So good on them for doing that.
Yeah, and Muric did save himself a little bit. 64th minute, he had a really good save. But then Haaland came back and caught him sleeping a little bit with a long-range shot that almost seems like it was just for kicks and giggles that ended up being very nice and snuck it near post on Muric. Probably should have stopped that. Not the worst miss near post. We'll get to the other one here in a few matches by a goalkeeper. Not the worst thing that happened near post for a goalkeeper this weekend. That's a little foreshadowing for just a few matches down the road. But before we get to that one, we move on to a rather forgettable affair here by Southampton and Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest did feel like that they were the better team here over Southampton, was my takeaway from it. They had better, certainly, I mean, the number of shots on goal and shots in general speak to that. Even though Nottingham Forest gave up the possession, they had 23 shots to 5 for Southampton, 8 on target versus 1 for Southampton. And finally, in the 70th minute, Morgan Gibbs-White gets the goal for him to put him over top. And Southampton never really felt like they had a chance. I mean, obviously, statistically, they really didn't have a good chance at ever equalizing.
Yeah, I'm sporting the Nottingham Forest jersey, even though I have them going down.
Yeah,
this is a match that you really have to win if you're Nottingham, and you really have to win if you're Southampton, because these are bottom feeders that are going to fight for relegation all year. And Southampton, I think they went to Vincent Kompany before this match and said, hey, how did you as Burnley last year keep so much possession and still always lose? And that's pretty much what they did. I mean, they passed the ball so many times. They had 65% possession, And yet none of that possession did anything except a couple of giveaways to Nottingham that really should have been goals. So kind of an awkward match for Southampton. I hope they don't get into the same Burnley type lull where they think they're just going to win by keeping the ball more. But yeah, tough look for Southampton at home. Their first Premier League game at home in a while.
Well attended too. I mean, 31,000 attendance.
Yeah, it was rocking for a long time. And then once Gibbs White scored, you kind of felt like, yeah, well, that's probably it for Southampton this match week.
Not our day, lads. But not a lot to talk about other than Southampton missed opportunity. Nottingham Forest. Listen, it's big. It's a big result for Nottingham Forest because you're going to be scraping your points together at the end of the season to hope that you got enough to stay up. To another team that's going to be scraping away their points at the end of the season to try to keep up. Well, first they got to get a point to scrape it together. Everton gets, I would say, pretty much body slammed by Tottenham Hotspur at London Stadium. This one, I mean, it started off early and just kind of continued throughout. That Spurs were just really, really good. Pickford did have a good save early on, but in the end it didn't come to much. There's Bissouma got his goal in the 14th minute. Heung-min Son got a brace, and Christian Romero got assisted by James Maddison. That one on the 71st minute, totally unmarked on the backside of that free kick. Christian Romero just came in totally unmarked and got a free header. He outjumped a guy, but still, he was unmarked going into it. So, not looking very good for Everton. Total bottom of the table. No goals so far this season. Who could have predicted such a thing that they didn't fix the biggest issue they had last year? No goals so far. It's incredible.
I really believe they were going to get one in this match. I predicted 4-1. Ends 4-0, and Everton really never had any real chances. They had one shot on target, wasn't really a challenging shot, and they just don't look like they have an identity yet. It kind of looks like Tottenham was not the team, as we saw last week, that's going to impose dominance like an Arsenal, like a Man City, like a Liverpool. But in this one, Everton just kind of gave it to them. Just said, hey, we want you to come at us. We want you to have the ball. We're just going to try to limit damage control, almost like a Burnley or Sheffield versus the big teams last year. So really concerning how they played this one because Everton is not a bottom feeder, and they ought not be a bottom feeder, but they're kind of playing like it right now. So we'll see what comes for the rest of the season. But first two match weeks are something to forget.
I do want to shout out Mickey Van de Ven, my best signing of the season from last season, going box to box on a breakaway in the 77th minute to assist Son. I just saw my note for that and wanted to go ahead and shout him out because, listen, he ran the full length of the pitch on that one and still got the ball through to Heung-min Son. So good on Mickey getting through there. Then we get to the match that we had hoped was going to be a very good match, and it had some moments. Aston Villa and Arsenal. Arsenal does end up taking that 2-0, but it was leading up to their first goal there in the 67th minute. I mean, Arsenal had some chances. 25th minute, Arsenal had a fantastic chance there by who is that? Ollie Watkins shanked a one-on-one with the keeper in the 25th minute. That could have really changed the match. And even then, 54th minute, David Raya had a fantastic save. A fantastic save that where the first shot got deflected and was looping over top of him. The only reason that it didn't go in was the crossbar stopped it. He's able to scramble to his feet as Ollie Watkins put the header back towards goal and punches it out of the way. Really good by Raya there, and really did save the match probably for Arsenal, because that's going to change the whole shape of the match. But then Arsenal does end up getting... They kind of take control after that save. It really felt like they kind of flipped a switch. and Arsenal was able to sort of impose their will after that.
Yeah, first half and early second half, David Raya cementing himself as the Gold Glove frontrunner again. I mean, both saves that he made in the first half and early in the second half, really great. 25th minute, Ollie Watkins is open.
Yeah.
If he doesn't drag the shot, he kind of dragged it off his plant foot. If he doesn't do that, the ball is literally going to just roll into the net. Raya was out of position. Those are chances you can't miss in these matches. But the first goal from Trossard was very much just like a pinball type play. Ball comes off of Rodgers and lands perfectly for Trossard, who puts it in. And in the Partey one, Martinez really should be saving that. It was near post. It hits off his glove, goes into the side netting. I feel like that was a little inexcusable for Martinez's level. But, I mean, that one really just sealed it. And you could feel Arsenal was going to go on to win after that.
Yeah, my note here was weak hand by Emmy. That was the note for the 77th minute because it was certainly a savable shot. It's not one of those ones where you look at it and like, you know what, you beat me fair and square. It's one of those, that one's on me, fellas. I apologize. That one's on me. And you know,
it was accurate, but it was certainly not powerful.
No. This is the counterpoint to the Erling Haaland shot that I was talking about earlier. That maybe Muric could have saved that, but there was a lot more pace on the Haaland shot, a little bit more curve on the Haaland shot than there was on this one. Not the same situation. Similar, certainly, but not the same.
Yeah.
Then we've got one more before I really have to get sad. So we'll talk about Bournemouth and Newcastle. A 1-1 draw, which neither of us had on the dance card. Yeah, neither of us had that, right? No, wait. Yeah, correct. We both had Newcastle winning. But I think that Semenyo, right? This is my Semenyo note, right? Yeah. Semenyo is going to do his darndest to keep Bournemouth up this year. I mean, that 37th minute goal, I just called it Semenyo bully ball. Because he came back into the play and wrestled the ball away from the defender, drove down to the right-hand side and played it across for the goal for Taverner. Taverner. Really good. Yeah. Really good play by Semenyo. And he had some other opportunities that he could have capitalized on, but did it. And then Newcastle comes back in the 77th minute with Anthony Gordon goal. What was my note for that? My handwriting's too bad. Wonderful ball, I think is that note there. Yeah. Wonderful ball by Harvey Barnes to the backside. That's right. Wonderful ball from the left-hand side to the right back post. Anthony Gordon pokes it in with his toe. Very nice play there by Newcastle to draw even, and then they were able to, they dodge a bullet with VAR ruling Bournemouth's stoppage time goal a handball, which I don't know if I would have necessarily called it a handball. It seemed just more like a foul to me.
Yeah, it was a bad call. I mean, people are calling that as bad as one pundit said it was as bad as the Onana one from last year against the Wolves.
I don't know about that.
Like, it's literally the decider. Like, this decision will decide the match. And the referees get involved when they ought not get involved on it. It just wasn't a good call. Bournemouth should have won. Ultimately, though, I think the Eddie Howe Newcastle project may be coming to a close because there's just not a lot of positives coming out of these first two match days. I mean, there's not any sorts of excitement. I don't feel like Newcastle is ready to be a top four team, and that's their aspirations. I still think they'll get third, but I think they're only going to get third with a new manager. I don't think Eddie Howe is going to – the way he's playing this season, people are picking up on it. And drawing Bournemouth, not a good look. If I remember correctly, they won last week, but wasn't a pretty win.
1-0 over Southampton. That's what I was checking there. So not a great result.
No. So you're feeling like if things don't pick up here soon, Eddie Howe may be shown the door. They really like him, so maybe not. But Bournemouth is a team you got to beat because they're also going to be in that 13 and lower range this season.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. And then, 2-6 is a bit. It doesn't tell the tale of the match. I don't think. What do you? Can I get away with that? Listen, the first half wasn't bad. We were 2-2. We were drawn 2-2 going into halftime. With their first goal for Nicholas Jackson. That's bad. That's totally unmarked on the back post off of that. Not forgivable. That was terrible. But Brun Larsen almost got us back level in the 17th minute, but he's just a scooch off sides. Mateus Cunha tapping that one in, but disallowed for offsides. Come back 27th minute. That one actually does count with Nori assisting Cunha. So good job on that one. I think that the Cole Palmer goal was a little bit fluky, to be fair. Yeah. And then we not Brun Larsen, Strand Larsen. wrong Larsen. Too many similar names. Strand Larsen is our guy. Then we had the set piece which was Strand Larsen getting the goal. And then halftime, and a different team came back out on the pitch. And basically all three of Maduki's goals were the same thing. Apparently couldn't defend the right side of the box for anything. And they just did the same thing over and over again. The first one was like a little fluky deflection. The second one, he just beat us all near post. And the third one was essentially the same thing all over again. In the span of 14 minutes, he scored 3 times on the same thing. All assisted by Cole Palmer? Sure. Why not? And who cares what happened after that? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, after Chelsea went up 3-2, Wolves had 2 really good chances in the 51st and 57th minute.
Didn't go away.
You put those in, it's a different ball game. So Wolves 6-2 really does not tell the tale of how this went. It just Chelsea were a bit more clinical than Wolves were. But yeah, I mean, missing those 2 chances, Madueke getting the goal in the 58th minute, you kind of felt Wolves were getting a little bit disheartened. And then, Cole Palmer is going to do what Cole Palmer does and continue to show Man City that, hey, you could have kept me. You could be playing. Obviously, City's doing fine without him. But he is certainly doing great. And then at Wolves, 78th minute, they almost got another goal ruled out because of offside. And then Pedro Neto gets the assist for the last goal. Is almost a salt in the wound moment.
I was gonna see if we could skip that part, but he did. He did put in the 6th one against us. But to be fair though, to be fair to the Wolves, this isn't a great look for Chelsea because of how open the match was. The Wolves aren't very good. Okay, we're hoping to stay up this year. So Chelsea, you're I know you're away. I know you're at Molineux, and Molineux is such a fortress. But you should be playing bet. You should not be. It should not feel this different for it being 6-2 than what it does feel like. So Chelsea, watch yourself. You could get caught by Crystal Palace if you're not careful, Chelsea. I'm looking at you, Chelsea.
It's showing that Chelsea really isn't that much different than last season.
No.
Because even last season, their defense, I mean, the City game was 4-4. There's another game they had that was 5-3. Another game that was 3-3. So their defense has not changed at all. They're still young. They're still inept to issues and mistakes. So that'll be interesting to see how Chelsea respond throughout the year with the big teams coming at them. Because, Wolves, not known for their prowess in front of goal versus the big teams, but honestly, they could have had 4 or 5 of their own.
Could have.
Had they converted the chances that were right in front of the goal. So
those 2 feet less of the runs in the first half and in the second half, and it would have been 4-6 because Cunha converted that one. It could have been a totally different match because it would have happened so early. But so listen, I know we made the joke I can't say that there are good things to take out of all the losses that the Wolves are having, but there are some fine things to take about. Okay, it's fine. Moving on to our last match of the weekend, Liverpool versus Brentford. not a lot to say about this one. Brentford had like 2-ish chances that were real against Liverpool, and neither of them were that close. Whereas Liverpool, 13th minute, rapid, efficient counterattack with another Wolves player, Diogo Jota, former Wolves player Diogo Jota, feeding Luis Diaz. Calm, cool, and collected for that one. Mo Salah, another calm, cool, and collected. Just somewhat similar to Haaland's third, where he's making the right shot, the one that's needed to get the ball to go in the easiest manner possible. And Brentford didn't have much of a chance, it felt like, in this one.
Yeah, this one I appreciate that as a Wolves fan, you at least have the opportunity to say he used to be on our team.
Yeah. Hey, and Adama Traore looks way better this year. His touch has improved, so cool.
Yeah, his touch has improved, probably because he has less oil all over his body.
Oh, you think he's got less baby oil on him? Oh,
less baby oil, I guess. But yeah, Liverpool, it seems like the Arnie Slot era is we're going to kill them with slow, repetitive passing.
Yeah.
And it's not even like dominating possession. It's just really slow, lull them to sleep. They've obviously won the first 2 matches, but I'll be interested to see how this sort of pace of play works out when they're playing against higher quality teams like an Aston Villa, Arsenal, City, Tottenham even. But hey, 2-0 is a 2-0 win. Obviously, they're going to beat Brentford. We both predicted. Well, no, I predicted a 2-2 draw.
Yes, you did.
Because I really thought Brentford was going to actually score.
No,
but
they really didn't really sniff the goal mouth very much at all.
No, which was shocking, but honestly, it shows that Liverpool is at least still defensively sound.
Yeah. And that brings us to an end of this match day. Unfortunately, I do have to report that we lost to the favorites this match day. You were 5-5, I was 6-4. The favorites were 7-3. So even though we got some non-favorites right, it wasn't enough to make up for the difference. Overall, you also went 5-5 in the first week. I went 7-3, so did the favorites. Right now, the cumulative is you're 10-10, 13-17. Sorry, 13-7, and then 14-6 for the favorites. With the favorites beating me, they're at 18-18 for results. So if you bet $20 on the favorites, you've gotten $18.18 back on that, on top of the 20. So we've got some work to do. Maybe I know this is crazy, but maybe you could actually pick some Liverpools and Arsenals to go their way.
Not possible.
Not possible. Can't happen. No United. Well, you're gonna. Well, I don't know. We'll see what we do in the next one. We've got United versus Liverpool. See how you go with that. I might have an inkling. But until we get to that episode, which will be coming up here a little bit later this week, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other